Welcome to our first lesson of our lower secondary English. Okay, there was a little bit of a hiccup just now. Someone was scribbling on my whiteboard. I'm not sure why. If you want to teach, you can let me know. I can always let you take over. Okay, but please avoid doing that. Okay, it shows that you're not respecting your fellow classmates. Okay, now I have turned off all your videos if you realized, okay, as well as muted all of you because I believe you have heard of the Zoom incident that happened last week. So to protect ourselves, okay, and to create a very safe environment for us to learn in, okay, I'm going to be taking away all your videos except and muting your microphones except when I pick on you, or rather when you choose to answer a question, then I'll be turning the microphone back on. Okay, now a couple of things for us to take note of. All right, let me just see that. 1 second. Okay, so let's just go through some class rules first. Okay, remember, only one person speaks at a time, please, students. Okay, because it's an online platform, it's even more difficult for us to have your attention. Right, so only one person speaks, and if you're interested to speak, raise your hand. You know, there's that tab over there. You can raise your hand, right? Okay, and then if it's at an appropriate juncture, I would allow you to speak, and you can share your thoughts. Okay, if not, speak it in to me personally via chat. Okay, or send me an email or text. Okay, now I've already put all your microphones on mute mode simply because we should not. Number one, we should be listening to me. Secondly, if you have any background noise, it may be very distracting for other students. Okay, turn off all web cameras, right, so that there is no incidents of any unfortunate issues from occurring. Okay, and if you need to speak to me, like I mentioned, raise your hand. Okay, so for today, what we're going to go through is, students, okay, I have actually a couple of editing practices that I'd like to go through with you. Okay, I know many of you have actually started to do editing in school. You know, you're very familiar with it. Okay, and I've only given I've given you only 2 editing practices to try out. But before we actually go through these 2 editing practices, I'd like to, teach you how to actually pick out certain answers. So it's actually, when you try out the PDF independent practice, it's actually easier for you. Okay, now we'll go through the first practice first. Okay, now get out your pencils, get out your pens. If you want to answer me at any point of time, raise your hands. Okay, we will go through some answers later. Okay, but first let's just read through the instructions. Okay, so we have, of course, with us text of 12 lines, right? Okay, let me change the color 1 second. We have a text of 12 lines. Correct? First, last line are correct. Okay, please take note that because this is online, it's very hard for us to have the tick, right? We replace the tick with a Y. Okay, so if you see a Y, it means that the statement is perfect. There's no mistake in that statement. Okay, and remember, whatever word that we actually change, in the passage, as our answer, okay, it must not change the original meaning of the sentence. Okay, I'm sure you're familiar with how the editing practice goes, right? So we'll have a look at the first passage first. Okay, first I will go through it for this one, right? I will go through the passage as in firstly. Okay, our first step is to read through the entire passage. Okay, you have to read through the entire passage. I know many of you do not actually do that. You just straight away go in and zoom in on answering the questions. If you're strong in language, by all means, go ahead. Okay, but please don't forget, students, that when you read through the passage, there are various benefits of doing that, right? Firstly, you get an idea of the whole passage in general. Secondly, the moment you've read through, you're able to pick out certain errors in the answers already. You can answer the question. Okay, so first I'll read through this passage. Okay, you realize I've already marked out the answer hints, so to speak, right? Because this is supposed to be guided. I want to guide you through how we actually can do the questions. Okay, students, now let me read through the passage once. For ages, people have felt driven to explore the unknown and to discover more about our world. Adventurers have set out to explore for much reasons. Now, something we have to take note of, reasons. Can it be counted? Can reasons be counted, right? Some sought shorter trade routes. Some wanted valuable, what for commerce is the singular or plural, something for you to take note of, such as gold, silver, precious gems, silks, and spices. Others seek glory for their, what tense is this, right? Okay, we're talking about the past because we're referring to ages of the past, something for you to take note of. So others seek glory for their nations or personal wealth and power. Some wish to taught their religion to other cultures. After to, what do we usually have? Is it a verb in present tense or verb in the past tense? Which one? You decide. Still, others wanted to find uncrowded living spaces or to discover answers to science questions. Okay, what kind of questions? When we're using an adjective, what kind of word do we actually use in replacement of science, right? Many simply wanted to be the first to find unknown lands. In the Middle Ages, many people took long, difficult journeys for religious reasons. Some made pilgrimages to shrines in a holy land. How many holy lands do we have, right? Do we specifically refer to it as a or the? Okay, in Rome or elsewhere. They provided detailed accounts of their adventures and observations, right? What kind of accounts, right? When we use an adjective, how do we describe, or how do we use the word detail for that matter? Today, explorers continued to investigate new. If we're still talking about today, should this be in the past tense? Okay, investigate new frontiers, both on the earth and the universe beyond. Okay, students, now we can go through the answers, okay? So over here, now, let's go through. I will go through the answers with you for the first one, okay? The second one, I'll start to pick on a few of you, or maybe you can volunteer yourselves if you would like to share your answers. Okay, so for ages, let me choose a different color, which is green. Okay, for ages, people have felt driven to explore the unknown and to discover more about our world. Adventurers have set out to explore for, you can count your reasons, right? So if you can count your reasons, very good. You can explore for many reasons. Okay, you can use, it's a countable noun, especially for reasons, so we use many. Okay, some sought shorter trade routes. Some wanted valuable because it's more than one. Good, very good. Goods for commerce, right, for business, such as gold, silver, precious gems, silks, and spices. Others in the past, so we say, very good. Okay, this is in the past, we say others sought because it's in the past tense, right? Others sought glory for their nations or personal wealth and power. Some wish to, every time we use after a teach, it's always a infinitive, right? Which is the teach. Okay, so remember students, to plus infinitive. What is the infinitive? If many of you do not know, okay, infinitive is actually talking about the verb in its original form. Okay, so to teach their religion to other cultures. Still, others wanted to find uncrowded living spaces. Also, if there's no error, of course, this is a tick, or in our case, we put a Y. Okay, very clever, those of you. This one sure can get right answer. Okay, to discover answers to what kind of questions are we having? That's right, if you want an adjective, scientific questions, very good. Many simply wanted to be the first to find unknown lands. In the Middle Ages, many people took long, difficult, very good, this is all correct. Okay, but students, okay, let me highlight to you that because this is guided and we already give you hints of where the mistakes are, you can put the ticks there. But in a real editing practice that we'll be having later, if you're not sure, leave it blank first, furnish all the answers, and then put the ticks in. Okay, because if you're not sure, don't put the tick in first. Okay, now, long, difficult journeys for religious reasons. Some made pilgrimages to shrines in, you're talking about specifically the Holy Land. That's right. If there's only one, for example, we say the president, we don't say a president simply because there's only one. right? The first lady, there's only one. Okay, if you're referring to something in specific, we always use the. If it's any random thing, for example, we have a boy, a cat, a dog, for example, it's a, because we're not referring specifically to that subject. Okay, now in the Holy Land, right, in Rome or elsewhere, they provided what kind of accounts? We have an adjective over here, so it's detailed accounts. Very good. Okay, we want to describe something. Detailed accounts, it's the past tense version of their adventures and observations. Today, explorers, even up to today, because it is, that's right, it is present tense, right? They continue to investigate new frontiers, both on the earth and the universe beyond. Okay, students, so over here, I have actually the answer guide for you, okay, as well as the explanation. Don't be in a hurry to copy down because we'll be uploading the slides later for you. Okay, so you just enjoy the lesson and just listen. Okay, it's a chill out session. Okay, not chill out, you're still supposed to do work, but yeah. Okay, now we'll go on to the next practice. Maybe I can have some of you volunteer to actually read the passage for me. Will that be okay? Can I have anyone who wants to read? Can you raise your hands? Very good. One can. Okay. Thank you. Let me just unmute you. Thank you so much. All right, let me unmute you. Can you unmute yourself, Bunken? Okay, there seems to be something wrong somewhere. I can't unmute you, sorry, sweetheart. Okay, how about Harriet? Okay, Harriet, can you just read this slide for us, please? Don't need to change the answers, just read it in its original form, okay?
Plants try to ensure that a new generation will develop. They do so by scattering their fruit or seeds. This is the last phase of a plant's life cycle. Many plants have developed special adaptations to spread its seeds. Small, light seeds are often dispersed by the wind. A dry seeds to the tobacco plants are as small as dust particles. They are swept into the air and carried by the wind over thousands of miles. Other large, heavy seeds have special structures that allow.
Do you want to continue?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to continue, go ahead. Allow
them to be carried by the wind as well. Milkweed and dandelion seeds have small, silky parachutes. Maple seeds have sturdy, flat wings. The wings propels them for short distances. Some seeds are carried by water. The coconut is a large seed. It is surrounded on a fibrous husk with a hard outer shell. The outer shell traps air inside, just that the entire fruit floats, safe within its shell. The seed can float in the ocean for hundreds of miles.
Thank you, Siri. Good job. Okay, very good pace, very confident. That's very good. Okay, thank you, Harriet. Okay, so now let's go back and go through the answers, okay, students? All right, now plants try to ensure that a new generation will develop. Okay, so basically this passage is talking about plants and germination, right? How it carries on with its with planting its young seedlings, etc. Right? They do so because, right? Remember, we are talking about something that is continuous, right, students? So because it is continuous, right? They do so by scattering. Oopsie, sorry, here, scattering. Correct. So because it is continuous, so they do so by scattering their fruit or seed. Okay, this is the last phase of a plant's life cycle. Many plants have developed special adaptations to spread what you're talking about, plants. So plants, should this be it? No. Okay, it is actually their seeds. Okay, we're referring to actually the plant over here. Okay, small light seeds are often dispersed by the wind. Dry seeds to tobacco plants, or rather we're talking about, very good, okay, because specifically to tobacco plants, right? So we're talking about not but the dry seeds to tobacco plants are as small as dust particles. They are, when we're talking about something, okay, and we're referring to it in the passive voice, they are, we always use the past tense, they are swept into the air and carried by the wind over thousands of miles. Other large seeds have special structures. Now you're comparing between light seeds and heavy seeds, right? So in this case, other large comparison, heavier seeds. Very good, okay? Because you're comparing between the light and the heavy ones, right? So other large, heavier seeds have special structures that allow them to be carried by the wind as well. Milkweed and dandelion seeds have small silky parachutes. Maple seeds have sturdy flat. Does a wing only exist as one? No, okay, a wing exists as many. That's right, wings. And of course, over here we have no error hint, right? So it's actually a tick or a yes. Okay, now the wings propels them, right? Okay, because we're referring to specifically one pair of wings, right? Propels them for short distances. Some seeds are carried by water. The coconut is a large seed, so there's no error over here as well, right? Okay, so it's a yes, or rather it's a tick, whichever. The coconut is a large seed. It is surrounded a fibrous husk. Okay, so this one is fibrous husk. It is surrounded, that's right, okay, it's a phrase here, surrounded by, okay, a fibrous husk. So the seed is here surrounded by, for example, it is surrounded. Okay, now the outer shell is surrounded by a fibrous husk with a hard outer shell. The outer shell traps air inside, just that the entire fruit floats. So it is actually a reason, not just but so, because it traps heat inside, so the entire fruit is able to float, right? Safe within its shell, the seed can float in the ocean for hundreds of miles. Okay, students, I see some of you chatting. Okay, let me just have a quick look at what's going on in the chat. Okay. This passage, let me just highlight to you, students. Okay, it is a practice passage. I just want you to look and listen to me. Okay, and also when looking at the slides, try to figure out the answers. You will be given these slides later. Okay, as I mentioned, right? We will be uploading these slides so you can actually practice it. But this is for me to teach you how to pick out the answers. Don't worry if you don't have the question. Okay, like I mentioned, it's a guided practice. I would like you to just look at the screen. Okay, when I go through the passage, try to figure out what the answer is. Okay, we'll be going through the two questions that you had on your PDF, right, later, okay, on our live lessons page where you can actually get the lesson, right, but we'll be going through that later. I've still got two more that I want to guide you through first, okay, before we take a short break, and then we'll go on to the two independent practices later. Okay, now we'll go on to the next exercise, but let me show you the answers first. Okay, students, all of my questions have answers, don't worry. They will be uploaded together with the reasons, okay? Now, the next passage, this one is a little bit different. Before I get someone to read, let me just highlight to you what this is. Okay, this one is a little bit different. Why? Because we have the hint of what kind of error it is going to be. So I'll go through with you what kind of errors we can encounter when we're doing editing, and then we'll figure out the answer. Okay, so we'll have two similar such passages before we take a short break. And then we'll come back and do the questions that I know many of you are eagerly waiting to go through, right, the answers, okay? Okay, now can I have a volunteer to read out to us this passage, please? Can raise your hands if you would like to read to me. Does anyone want to read? Nobody wants to read. Okay, if nobody wants to read, that's fine. I'll just read it. Anybody wants to read? Okay, if nobody wants to read, I'll go ahead. All right. Now, as I walked home, I fell to thinking about another Katy I once knew. She had planned to do a great many wonderful things, and in the end, did none of them, but instead did something quite different and a good deal better than any of the things she had dreamed about. Katy's name was Katy Carr. She lived in the town of Burnett, who wasn't a very big town, but was growing as fast as it knew how. The house she lived in stood on the edge of the town. It was a large, square house, white with green blinds, and had a porch on front. 4 tall trees shaded the gravel path which led to the front gate. On one side of the house was an orchard. On the other side was wood piles and barns, and an ice house. Behind was a garden sloping to the south, and behind it was a pasture with a brook in it. It had butternut trees, but 4 cows, 2 red ones, a yellow one with sharp horns, and a dear little white one named Daisy. Okay, students, so let's go through the answers. We've got hints over here now, right? Okay, so let me just go through with you the answers. Okay, so as I walked home, I fell to thinking about another Katy I once knew. She had, now if we have something in the past tense, right, if this the hint is verb, right, so she had planned to do a great many wonderful things. Something is in the past, so she had planned. Very good. Oopsie, P-L-A-N-N-E-D. Something is in the past perfect tense over here. Okay, but instead did something quite different and a good deal better than any of the, right, spelling error. We have you're comparing, right? It's not then. This then usually refers to time, right? You realize in your composition you always write then, da 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 da. But when we're comparing, it's actually T-H-A-N. Okay, then any of the doings she had dreamed about. So Katy's name was Katy Carr. She lived in a town of Burnett, right? So remember, students, I was telling you, right? When we're referring to something in particular, something specific, we don't use a, but rather we use she lived in the town of Burnett because there's only one town, right? Who wasn't a big town, but was growing as fast as it knew. So can we say that Burnett, who? That's right, okay, which wasn't a very big town because this actually refers to Burnett. Okay, not too difficult, right? Now, the house she lived in stood on the edge of town. It were a large, now when they say subject-verb agreement, we know definitely, that's right, it's either it, was, it, right, or it's either many and were, or singular and was in this case, right? So it was, very good, because this is singular, so it was a large square house, white with green blinds, and had a porch. Now when we say porch, what? That's right, okay? We always don't use on front, but porch in front. Very good. Okay, oopsie. A porch in front of the house, right? That's why we say in front. 4 tall trees shaded the gravel path which led to the front gate. Okay, this one has no error, right? We see that there's nothing there. On one side of the house was, so this is the tick, was an orchard. On the other side was wood piles and barns. Now, on the other side, if we have 2 subjects over here, students, it should be, very good, it should be were. Okay, were wood piles and barns and an ice house. Behind was a garden. Okay, this one, there's no error again. So, sloping to the south, and behind that, a pasture with a, so we have a tick over here, right? With a brook in it. It had butternut trees, but 4 cows. So should we say but still? It's a conjunction, right? So you want to continue with what it had. So it had butternut trees and 4 cows. Very good. 2 red ones, a yellow one with sharp horns, and a dear little white one named Daisy. Okay, students, now this is basically how we actually tackle the editing question. Not too bad, right? Let me just show you the answers. Don't worry, okay? I know many of you are concerned that, you don't have this text. Don't worry. After this, we'll upload it, all right? So here are the explanations as well. Okay, last practice. Okay, I'll guide you through, okay, before you can go for your break, and then we'll come back into the 2 questions that you've actually had for your homework, so to speak, right? Okay, let's go through one more passage. Now, anyone wants to read out the passage for me again? Oh, very good. Now I've got people. Okay, okay, Boon let's try it one more time. Let me try to unmute you one more time because, sweetheart, I couldn't unmute you just now. I still can't. I'm sorry, is there a way you can unmute yourself? Okay, I'm sorry, I can't unmute you. Okay, Boon I'm sorry, okay? I think just now we had someone else, Carson. So Carson, shall we read the passage?
Is it the whole passage?
Hang on, let me have a look. Would you like to read the whole passage? It's up until here. Would you like to?
Sure.
Okay, we'll read half the passage. I hear from you from that tone. Okay, so we'll just read this slide. Is that okay?
Sure. Okay, so as a rule, Helen strongly disliked being caressed by anyone except her mother, Mrs. Keller, and for some reason, she accepted Miss Sullivan's embrace. Soon she was running her hands over the newcomer's face and clothes. Then she discovered that the visitor was carrying a travelling bag, which was locked. By means of gestures, she explained that she wanted the bag open. To her intense annoyance, her mother told her by signs to leave the bag alone. Helen flashed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do you want to continue or can I pass it on to someone else?
Can you pass it on to someone else?
All right, sure. Thank you, Carson.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, just wanted to highlight to you guys, right, that thank you. I think that for everybody who reads or who dares to share, their opinion, it takes a lot of courage. Okay, so I just want to say thank you for taking the step forward, making the effort, because I think you're very brave. Okay, it's not easy, all right, to do that. Okay, and another thing, when we're speaking into the mic, right, let's try to avoid breathing into the mic, because when we do that, right, you can hear a lot of feedback, and basically it sounds like you're thumping on the mic, so let's put the mic a bit further away. It will still be able to capture what you're saying, but let's avoid breathing into it. Okay, now just now I saw someone else would like to read, right? Anyone else wants to read? I actually see Harriet. Okay, if there's no one else, then we'll get Harriet to read again, because Bunken, I'm sorry, sweetie, I can't unmute you. Okay, now Harriet, would you like to read the second page? Oh my gosh, sorry. Okay, Harriet, we just read the second page first. 1 second. 1 second, sweetie. Wait, 1 minute. Let me just move this a bit. Okay, let me change the slide. Okay, into
one of her furious rages. Then, all of a sudden, she felt a watch being pushed into her hand. Now her anger departed as quick as it had come. Still clutching the treasure, she followed her new friend upstairs. Miss Sullivan had won an initial victory. There were, however, many battles to be waged before she could control the rebel little girl and gain her complete trust. Helen would sometimes display her anger when she didn't get what she wanted.
Thank you, dear. Okay, for the 2 students who actually volunteered to read for us, thank you very, very much. Okay, wait, let me mute you. I'm sorry, dear, I have to mute you. Okay, yeah, okay. I really appreciate, the effort, because I think, number 1, like I mentioned just now, right, it shows courage. Number 2, this is also an opportunity, okay, for you to practice reading, practice sharing your thoughts with other people. And at this point of time, right, at this point in time, we do not get to interact much with our friends because we're at home, right? So this is an opportunity to practice. Okay, so don't be afraid. Even if we make mistakes, we all learn together. That's the kind of environment that we have. Okay, so let me just go through the answers now with you. All right, so as a rule, Helen strongly disliked being caressed, basically, being touched, right? Okay, by anyone except her mother, Mrs. Keller, and for some reason she accepted, right, Miss Sullivan's embrace. So we know that because she usually doesn't want other people to touch her, there's a twist over here, right? She accepted Miss Sullivan's embrace. So it's a complete opposite. It's a contrast. So over here, we are talking about a conjunction. You read through the sentence again. By anyone except her mother, Mrs. Keller, but for some reason, she accepted Miss Sullivan's embrace. Soon, she was running her hands over the newcomer's face and clothes, right? Then there's no arrow over here, so we have a tick. Then she discovered that the visitors carrying a traveling bag. So over here, we have plural for visitors. So subject verb agreement, were carrying, that's right, okay, a traveling bag, which was locked. By means of gestures, right, when she was like using her hands and moving around, right, she explained that she wanted the bag open. To her intent, right, she wanted the bag. Usually when we're talking about something that, she wanted something to happen, basically, right? It needs to be in the past tense because this is an event, or this was an event rather that actually happened before. So she explained that she wanted the bag opened. Okay, this event happened in the past. To her intense annoyance, her mother told her by signs to leave the bag alone. So basically, there's no arrow over here. We have a tick. Okay, Helen flashed into one of her furious rages. Okay, then all of the sudden, she felt a watch being now. It's a phrase, so all of a sudden, that's right, not the, but all of a sudden, she felt a watch being pushed into her hand. Now her hand. Now her anger departed as quick as it had come. Still, so as quickly, that's right, it's an adverb, right? Okay, so we're looking at as quickly as it had come. Still clutching the treasure, she, past tense, very good. She followed, right? Okay, because it's something that happened in the past. She followed her new friend upstairs. Miss Sullivan had win an initial victory, had won. Sorry, give me a second. I heard something. Okay. She had won an initial battle, right? Okay, it's past perfect tense, it's a past participle, right? There were, however, many battles to be waged before she could control the what kind of little girl we're talking about? The rebellious. It's an adjective. That's right. So how do we spell rebellious? Rebelliou. Okay, and gain her complete trust. Helen would sometimes display her anger when she didn't get what she wanted. If we actually read on Helen Keller, we know that she's very temperamental. Reminds me of some people. But anyway. Okay, so this is basically how we actually do the questions. Okay, students, we have the answers over here. All right, and the explanation. Okay, now I'll give you a 1 minute break. Okay, let's go stretch our legs, grab a drink of water. It is now 8:35. Okay, can we all come back at 8:37? Okay, to go through your homework. All right, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, students, welcome back. I think I had said it was 8:35 just now. I apologize. I was looking at my clock and it said 18, so for some reason it just didn't connect. Okay, but it's 6:35. Okay, and now it's 6:38. Okay, so let's come back to lesson, and we'll go through the homework that you probably had downloaded, right? Okay, now, okie dokie. Let's have a look at the practice first. Okay, can I have someone read out what you're very familiar with, right, by now? So raise your hand if you would like to read the passage. Any volunteers? Are all of you back? Okay, very good. I see some hands. Okay, hang on. Okay, thank you very much. I realized that okay, very good. Okay, so we'll get I'm sorry, Bunken, I'm really trying to unmute you, but I can't for some reason. Okay, I see a new hand, very good. Sheena. Okay, so Sheena, would you like to read? Okay, you've been unmuted, yeah? Okay, you can't be unmuted as well. Okay. Okay. Okay, would you like to read the whole passage or half?
Half.
Okay, sure. So just read this slide, Yaja. Okay, whenever you're ready.
I had seen that magic shop from afar several times. I had passed it once or twice. A shop window of luring little objects, magic ball, wonderful cones, ventriloquist dolls, packs of cards who looked all right, and all that sort of thing. I never thought of going out until one day, almost without warning, Grip hauled me by my finger right up the window. They conducted himself in such a manner that made it clear that I had to take him into the shop. To tell the truth,
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll have the next half of the passage. Anyone else? Maybe we'll have Hassan again. Okay, I've unmuted you. Okay.
Okay, do I read the rest of the...
Yeah, just read the rest of it.
Had not think the place was there, but there it was sure enough. It had a modest-sized shop front, among the picture shop and the place where the chicks run about, just out of incubators. I had thought it was near the circus, or round the corner in Oxford Street. Always further away but a little inaccessible, with something of a marriage in its position. But here it was now, and the fat end of Jip's pointing finger made a noise upon the glass.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Okay, so now we'll just go through the answers. Okay, thank you to the two of you who actually volunteered to read out to me. Okay, I hope that the rest of you actually will start to speak out in class, okay, as we get more comfortable. All right, now, I had seen that magic shop from afar several times. I had passed it once or twice, a shop window of alluring little objects, magic ball, wonderful cones. Now, what do you think the answer for this is? Any volunteers? Raise your hand. Anyone? Okay, Harriet, you want to try? Alluring little objects. Answer?
I don't know.
Okay, it's okay, all right. Now, students, maybe what you can do is to make it a little bit, more productive during the lesson. What you can do is when we give you the PDF, which will usually be uploaded, for example, today is Tuesday, right? Check on Monday. Okay, it will definitely be uploaded then so that you can practice the questions before you come to class so you can actually go through. It's a lot more productive that way, so you can just check through your answers rather than, like during lesson itself, you think about the answers. That may take some time. Okay, so let me just go through with you first, okay? Alluring little objects, magic ball, wonderful cone. So you realize everything over here is in plural form. So because it's in plural form, over here we have balls, magic balls. Okay, now ventriloquist dolls, right? Basically those puppets that you can, make using your hands, right? Packs of cards who looked all right and all that sort of thing, right? Okay, so over here we have who looked all and all that sort of thing. So this one is actually what? It's not who, but we're talking about that because we have packs of cards over here. Okay, so remember, whenever we are talking about who, right, we're actually referring to people, person. Okay, but in this case, because the subject in this case is packs of cards, right? So we're saying packs of cards that looked all right and all that sort of thing. I never thought of going out until one day, almost without warning, Gip. Now, Gip is a human being. Okay, so Gip called. So I never thought of going, that's right, in to the shop, right? Because you're referring to the shop. Okay, I never thought of going in until one day, almost without warning, Gip hauled me by my finger right up to the window. They conducted himself. It's a bit confusing, right? They conducted himself. So it has to be a he. That's right. He conducted himself in such a manner that made it clear that I had to take him into the shop. To tell the truth now, this seems okay, right? Now we'll go on to the next slide first. Okay, right, I had not think the place was there, but there it was, sure enough. Okay, it had a modest sized shop front. So basically I had not, past tense, right, thought. Okay, so it is actually the past perfect tense, right? I had not thought the place was there, but there it was, sure enough. It had a modest sized shop front among the picture shop and the place where the chicks run. So over here, not among, but between, right? Because you're talking about two things in particular, the picture shop and the place where the chicks run about, just out of incubators, right? I had thought it, basically it is referring to single, right? So it was nearer the circus, around the corner in Oxford Street, always further away, but a little inaccessible with, so over here, it's not but in. Okay, so let's reread the sentence. I had thought it was nearer the circus, around the corner in Oxford Street, always further away, and because you're referring to something about the place, right? It's further away and it is a little inaccessible, right? Because it's further away, that's why it's not so convenient for people to get to, right? And a little inaccessible with something of a mirage in its position, right? Basically something like its illusion, right? But here it was now, and the fat end of Gib's pointy finger made a noise upon the glass. So over here, it seems to be correct. Okay, and the previous one, remember we had another one over here that was correct as well. Okay, students, so basically this is how we actually complete our editing practice. This is a bit more challenging, right? Firstly, it's not guided. Okay, secondly, it's a bit tricky with a couple of vocabulary words here and there. Okay, so this is the kind of standard you're looking at. Okay, not those baby practices. All right, okay, now we'll go on to our last passage for today that you've been given. Okay, as usual, we'll upload the answers again later, so don't worry. Okay, now our second passage. So who wants to read for me maybe half of it first? Anyone wants to read to me? Or read for me rather? Okay, I'll do with your questions later. All right. And also where I will upload it, we will create a tab for the live lessons PDF. Okay, the completed slides. So we'll be informing you where it will be. Don't worry. Okay. Now, anyone wants to read for me? Raise your hands. If not, I will read it. It's not a problem. No one? Okay, then I'll read it. Now, all the citizens of a country seldom belong to a single ethnic group. For example, US citizens have much things in common, but they do not all belong to the same ethnic group. They must be Irish Americans or Native Americans or a combination of several ethnic groups. Many citizens of Canada belong to one of the two large ethnic groups that founded the country in the 1600s. One group is made up of French-speaking descendants of French settlers. The other consists of English-speaking descendants of English settlers. Together, they make up about half of the Canadian population. And Canada has many other ethnic groups, including Germans, Italians, Chinese, and Dutch. A family is not an ethnic group. Members of the family have the same ancestors and share a common culture. They may share certain jokes and words that other families do not know. But the family is too small a unit to be an ethnic group. Okay, students, let's go through the answers now. All right, for today, I'll go through the answers with you, but in future, all right, I hope that you will have completed this piece of homework, okay? And we can discuss it in class, simply because if it's going to be a one direction kind of teaching, it's not going to be very productive for you as well as for me, because I don't get to hear your ideas. Some of you may have different answers, and I would love to hear your answers. Okay, so if you were to complete it, then we can have a discussion which is more productive actually. Okay, so for today, let me just go through the answers with you, but from next week onwards, I'm going to start asking for volunteers, okay? And I hope that you have the courage to actually, speak out your answers, and because there's nothing to be shy about actually. Okay, now, all the citizens of a country seldom belong to a single ethnic group. For example, US citizens have much things in common. Now, much is actually what? For uncountable nouns, right? So over here we have countable, so it's many things in common. But they do not all belong to the same ethnic group. They must be Irish Americans or Native Americans or combination. So whenever we are suggesting something that is not absolute, they may be, okay, because you think that they are, but it's not definite, right? They may be Irish Americans or Native Americans or a combination of several ethnic groups. Many citizens of Canada, right, because it's current and ongoing, so they do not just belong in the past, but rather belong to one of two large ethnic, very good, okay, groups. That's right, because we're talking about plural over here, right? One of two large ethnic groups that founded the country in the 1600s. One group is made up of French-speaking descendants of French settlers. Okay, the other, this one seems okay, right? Not too bad. It's not too bad, but there's no error. Okay, now consists of English-speaking descendants of English settlers. Together they, now we go back again, you realize the other is actually what? Singular. Oops. Singular. So when we have singular, it is the other consists, right? Subject verb agreement, consists of English-speaking descendants of English settlers. Together, they make up about half of the Canadian population. Canada has many other ethnic groups. Now you're talking about others. So if you're talking about others, there is a contrast over here. So if it's a contrast, it's not and but, it is not and but. So it's but. Canada has many other ethnic groups, including Germans, Italians, Chinese, and Dutch. A family is not an Italian, not an Italian, an ethnic group. Okay, so question 8 also looks okay. There doesn't seem to be any, error over there. Members of the family have the same ancestors and share, that's right, common culture and share over here. Okay, wait, hang on, the common culture. Now, for question, sorry about that. Okay, a family is not an ethnic group. Members of the family have the same ancestors and share. Now, you realize that we're referring here specifically to what now? This is quite tricky, right? Members of not the family, but we're referring to any family out there, right? Because if we're saying it's the family, it is specifically one family. In this case, members of a family have the same ancestors and share a common culture. They may share certain jokes and that other families do not know. Now, when you have jokes over here, you need to parallel the type of language. You cannot have many jokes and then one word only, right? So if this is plural, this will have to be plural as well. So they may share certain jokes and words that other families do not know. But the family is too small a unit to be an ethnic group. So basically, you need to remember that a family is just a subset of an ethnic group, which can, consist of many, many other families, right? That's why we say members of one family over here as well. Okay, let's go back, all right, and check through the questions that seem to have ticks. Okay, so one group is made up of French-speaking descendants of French settlers. The other, so this one seems to be correct. Okay, the other, let's go on, consists of English-speaking descendants of English settlers. Together, they make up about half of the Canadian population, but Canada has many other ethnic groups, including Germans, Italians, Chinese, and Dutch. A family is not, so this one seems to be okay. Okay, students? Now, this is actually how we do the editing, because you realize that some of the questions are also quite tricky. Okay, you need to read it and reread it again. I would give you maybe about 15 to 20 minutes to complete the editing practice during your exams, right? If you do it any quicker, If you're faster, that's fine, but make sure that you're not careless, because sometimes you realize that just now when we're doing it, so we might make some mistakes here and there, right? So make sure that you read through the questions properly. Okay, you highlight the areas that you think could have certain mistakes. Sometimes the answer is very obvious. Sometimes it needs you to read over and over again to actually get the answer. Okay, so I think a good gauge would be 15 to 20 minutes so that you're more familiar with the text and you can give better answers or more accurate answers, so to speak. Okay, so your PDFs, right, as I mentioned, will be uploaded here with the explanations as well. All right, so we've actually come to the end of our first lesson today on editing. Okay, as we all know, if you watch my lessons, you realize that I actually like to end off with a quote. Okay, so for today, our quote will be by Benjamin Franklin, right? An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Okay, so whatever knowledge that you're gaining now, students, regardless of whether it's in English, math, science, other subjects, right? It's basically knowledge, right? Whenever you invest in something, it would definitely pay off interest. I mean, assuming various factors, but most of the time it tends to be positive, right? But always remember that whenever you invest in knowledge, in education, you always get back a lot in return, in this case, the interest. Okay, so stay tuned, all right? We'll have another session next week, okay? And we're going to be focusing on different things, possibly writing now, okay? A little bit more interesting stuff. I know editing is a bit dry, but it's a very important 10 marks to make sure that you can get and keep in your pocket, okay? Because at the end of the day, we're all fighting for marks, right? So if we can get these 10 marks and ease the editing paper, editing section, so to speak, it's going to make the rest of our sections, our overall score a little bit better. Okay, so stay tuned. Okay, check out our website again on Monday for our PDF, okay, on our homework, so to speak, so you can make sure that, you go through the questions, try them out, and you can have a very fruitful and a very lively discussion. Okay, and for those of you who have volunteered and read for me today, good job, keep it up. For those of you who are a bit shy, don't worry, we have many more opportunities in the future. Okay, so until the next week, until the next time I see you, which is actually next week, okay, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next week. See you.